Morning, everybody. I hope you are well. Been an interesting couple of weeks. Lots of noise and documentation being generated about returning to work and easing some of the lockdown restrictions on us all. Scotland released their framework paper this week, which I've had a read through, and a number of large facilities businesses have released their papers on how they are going to be working with their clients and customers on how they will support them returning to work. I do think personally this is a little too soon. The UK haven't released their guidance paper yet until Sunday, and I'm not sure people have carried out the full risk analysis of their business and what return to work means. So the Scotland framework, what does it really say? It starts off as saying that they don't feel that there's going to be much change in restrictions on the 7th of May. They are looking at what can be done ahead, but the framework clearly states out that the approach they're taking is to suppress, care, support, cover, protect and renew, and with the guiding principles of safe, lawful, evidence-based, fair and ethical, clear, realistic and collective. So they're saying that anything that they decide to do, their approach has to be the first one with the guiding principles underneath. They are reviewing and assessing the risk on a regular occasions to understand what it is they can do to reduce the restrictions placed upon us. They talked about the risk of opening schools too early, and that could create a spike. That's what the data suggests. That's what the evidence is telling them. So thinking that the schools are going to be open by the 1st of June could well be a possibility if you are reading the news. But realistically, I think if the evidence isn't suggesting that that's the right thing to do, and they follow their guiding principles, that's not gonna happen. Other things they're considering in there is increase of exercise time outside for individuals and families, creating a family and friends bubble that acts as a self-contained unit with no interaction from anybody outside that group, with meetings being held outside to start with. Restarting some of the NHS and community support services. I think they're key to everybody in the UK, including some of the most vulnerable people. Reopen any businesses needs to meet the framework and the principles, and then needs to be assessed, implemented, then monitored. And that takes me back to points I've been saying this week is that businesses need to analyse the risk. And lots of businesses will have different risks. And then they probably need to use the hierarchy of controls to decide on what it is they're planning to do, and how they can mitigate the risk as much as possible. Let's be perfectly honest, working from home is still going to be the safest thing for all of your employees. And if you can continue to do so, there is nothing to suggest that anything else is a better way of reducing the spread of COVID-19 and protecting the people that work for you. If you have critical workers that have to return to work to restart your business, when you can meet the criteria of safe, lawful, evidence-based, is it fair and ethical? Is it clear? Is it realistic? And have you done a collective consultation on it? Then start working through who critical needs to come back into your business. What engineering controls can you put in place and into the space to make it safer for those people having to return to work? If those people have to return to work, how are you going to manage social distancing? What are you going to be putting in place? And then obviously, lastly, PPE. What PPE are you going to be offering your staff and teams? Why are you offering it to them? And is it suitable to do so? Now, anything apart from carrying on as we are increases the level of risk. So there is no risk-free solution that you are going to be able to implement. So consultation with your employees about what you have done through that risk analysis is absolutely key. And that's where the assessment, implementation and monitoring comes in. The monitoring goes back to reassessing and then any changes that need to be implemented. So you follow that risk analysis and health and safety guidance that you've always done. We know what creates healthy buildings: ventilation, air quality, temperature, dust and pests, safety and security, water quality, noise and lighting. We're going to have to be adding cleaning into that, absolutely. And how are we going to be tracking the cleaning, and how are we going to monitor what hasn't been done? And I think that goes through everything that we are kind of discussing. Assess your risks, implement the changes, and then monitor them. For me, it's how you implement the monitoring to get the information and the data back out, to go back through your assessment and change anything that needs to happen, while doing this in a really collective and consultative way that means that your team and staff and everybody that works for you understand exactly how you've got to where you're getting to before reopening the workspace. You've got, in this process, there is going to be a whole load of physical changes, but don't underestimate how scared and worried people are going to be about returning to work. You've got to support their mental health as well as their physical well-being. I think it's going to be an interesting time over the next couple of weeks, and we've got some great people coming on over the next, as I say, next Wednesday and the Wednesday after on Let's Talk FM. We are going to be talking around office design and implementing, and what we need to implement to even start considering returning to work. Guys, thank you so much. Stay safe and see you all next week on Let's Talk FM. Take care. Bye.